Xiao Zhan finally spoke, and his words rippled through the hearts of millions as if a dam had burst under the weight of years of silence. His confession about Shinyu became a testament to the enduring pain and fragile hope that had united fans in shared sorrow and belief. In a moment that was both raw and unfiltered, he stood before an audience that had long awaited his voice and poured out his truth in a way that left no room for pretense, his gentle tone carrying the weight of regret, longing, and a desire for redemption. For weeks fans had speculated about his silence, wondering if his heart had been shattered beyond repair or if he was simply retreating into himself, his absence raising more questions than answers. Then, on a quiet evening when the world seemed to hold its breath, he took to the screen and began to speak, his words slowly unfolding like the petals of a flower that had lain dormant for far too long. He spoke of nights spent in solitary confinement of his own thoughts, of a love that had been tested by the cruelty of fate and the harsh judgments of a public that rarely allowed a man to show weakness. He confessed that in the turbulent days when rumors soared and misinformation reigned, he had come to understand that true forgiveness and healing could only begin when one confronts the deepest part of one's own sorrow. He recalled a time when Shinyu and he had shared a moment of unspoken understanding, a moment when words were unnecessary because the pain and beauty of their connection were evident in the silent exchange of glances, a moment that had since been buried beneath layers of hurt and misunderstanding. He admitted that he had often felt lost in a maze of expectations and false pretenses, that every day was a battle to reclaim his genuine self from the shadows of scandal and miscommunication. His voice, though soft, carried a clarity that resonated with every listener as he described the journey of forgiveness, not as a fleeting gesture, but as a long and arduous process that required vulnerability and courage. He spoke of the day when everything changed, a day when the weight of criticism and the coldness of public opinion forced him to confront the truth of his own actions, a day when he realized that silence was not a refuge, but a prison that confined him in his own regret. He said that the pain he had once tried to hide had become a beacon of truth, guiding him back to the very people he had let down. As his words cascaded over the audience, they could feel the sincerity of his confession, a confession that revealed not only his shortcomings, but also his determination to seek forgiveness for the missteps that had defined his recent past. He described the moments when he felt abandoned by those he trusted most, when the promises made in the heat of passion were forgotten in the chill of reality, and how it was only through the support of Shinyu that he found the strength to speak once again. He admitted that his actions had inadvertently caused pain, and that the truth he was now willing to share was a heavy burden he had carried in silence for far too long. As he spoke, a deep calm settled over the room, and the listeners were transported into a world where raw emotion and honest reflection replaced the glitter of superficial fame. In the wake of his confession, fans flooded social media with messages of support and admiration, their tears a silent chorus of shared experience and empathy. People began to revisit old interviews, rewatch past performances, and reread faded comments with new understanding, all piecing together the complex mosaic of his journey. Every word he spoke was dissected and celebrated, not for its perfection, but for its authenticity and its power to transform suffering into a universal language of hope. The confession was not just about regret or loss. It was also a call to embrace the strength that comes from facing one's deepest fears. He urged his audience to forgive not only him but also themselves for the mistakes that had brought them to this tumultuous moment, reminding everyone that healing began with accepting the imperfections that made them human. His speech was an invitation to step away from the chaos of headlines and to find solace in the quiet courage of admitting one's faults, a rare act of vulnerability that resonated with a generation tired of pretense. In that transformative moment, Xiao Zhan transcended the image of a celebrity burdened by scandal and emerged as a beacon of resilience and truth, his words echoing far beyond the screen and into the hearts of those who had long yearned for a genuine connection. The confession unfolded like a long-forgotten story slowly rediscovered, a narrative of love, loss, and the painful but necessary path to forgiveness. And as the final words faded into a silence that was both heavy and healing, It was clear that this was not the end but the beginning of a new chapter in which every tear shed and every heart mended would stand as a testament to the transformative power of speaking one's truth. There was no dramatic conclusion that night, no climactic showdown or sensational exit, just the quiet revelation of a man who had finally found the courage to break his silence, and in doing so, had given a voice to the pain and hope that lay beneath the surface. His words left a lasting imprint on those who heard them and transformed his painful journey into a universal symbol of redemption. It was a moment that would be remembered as a turning point, a moment when forgiveness was not only extended but also earned through the honesty of a heartfelt confession. And so the story continues, not as a tale of tragedy, but as an ongoing testament to the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the light of truth can break through and guide us toward a future where understanding and forgiveness are possible for all who dare to speak from the depths of their soul. As the night faded into early morning, the internet remained flooded with reactions, replays, and raw emotions, as Xiao Zhan's confession continued to echo across social media, fan forums, and headlines. But what no one knew until now was that Xiao Zhan's emotional message was only the beginning. The story was far from over. Hours after the video went live, Shinyu herself was seen entering a quiet studio tucked away in the city's older district, wearing a long white hoodie and a blank expression, escorted by only one assistant. There were no cameras, no reporters, just the soft sound of her sneakers brushing the floor as she disappeared behind the black doors of the recording room. Word spread fast. Fans held their breath. Was she going to respond? She didn't speak for days. And then, without warning, a private voice recording from Shinyu began circulating online. Not staged, not filtered, just her, speaking quietly to someone close. In it, she confessed that she had watched Xiao Zhan's video 3 times. She said her hands shook the first time. She didn't expect him to mention that night. The night of the broken umbrella. The last moment they stood under the rain together and said nothing as their hearts collapsed in silence. Her voice cracked when she said she never hated him, that it was the silence that hurt her the most, that she waited not just weeks, but months for a single sign from him. And when it never came, she did what she always did, smiled for the cameras and swallowed the pain. Then the most heart-wrenching part. Shinyu whispered something no one expected to hear. I used to read his messages over and over, even the old ones, the ones where he called me Yue and promised me forever. I think a part of me still believed he would keep that promise. Fans were torn apart. Emotions ran high. Some cried openly on live streams. Some wrote letters to both of them. And others simply sat in silence, feeling as if their own hearts had been laid bare by someone else's pain. But just as people were starting to recover, a new twist shattered everything again. A leaked screenshot surfaced, a conversation between Xiao Zhan and a mutual friend from weeks ago. In it, Xiao Zhan said he had written Shinyu a letter he never sent. I poured everything into that letter. Everything I couldn't say out loud. Every mistake. Every memory. Every reason why I couldn't face her after what happened. The fans went into a frenzy. Where was the letter? Did she ever read it? Did it still exist? Then, someone posted an anonymous photo. A crumpled white envelope addressed only with her nickname, Yue, lying beside a book of poems and a dried, pink rose. The caption read, "She never opened it. She never knew." That was the moment the internet froze. People demanded answers. Did she still love him? Would she ever reply? And what exactly happened between them that caused this deep silence to stretch for so long? In the days that followed, Xiao Zhan was seen in a car driving past a familiar studio. He didn't stop. He just looked through the tinted window.